can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sand. And right now, I feel like 100 grand.
You are listening to Inspired Insider with your host, Dr. Jeremy Wise.
Dr. Jeremy Weiss here. I am the founder of InspiredInsider.com, where I talk with inspirational entrepreneurs and leaders. Thanks for tuning into this special Best Of episode where we'll take a look back at some of our favorite moments from previous conversations.
This episode is brought to you by Rise 25. At Rise 25, we help B2B businesses give to and connect to their Dream 200 relationships and partnerships. We do this in two ways. Number one, we are an easy button for a company to launch and run a podcast for ROI. We do the strategy, accountability, and full execution and production. Number two, we are also an easy button for your company's corporate gifting. We make gifting and staying top of mind to your clients, partners, and prospects simple and seamless and affordable. Some companies even send gifts to staff from a culture perspective. All you have to do is give us the list of people you want to follow up and keep in touch with, and we do everything else from there, from gift selection to the card to your branding on the box. We call ourselves the magic elves that run in the background to make it as stress-free as possible for companies so they can build relationships and run their business. For me, the number one thing in my life is relationships, and I am always looking at how to give to my best relationships. And I've found no better way over the past decade than having them on my podcast, featuring what they are working on and sharing it with the world, and also sending delicious treats in the mail every few months for years. If you have thought about starting a podcast or gifting, do it. If you have questions, email us at support@rise25.com or go to rise25.com to learn more.
Now, let's look back at some of our favorite moments from past conversations.
This is Great People, Great Resources. I'm here with Justin Brooke, and we're going to talk about, Justin, we could probably geek out for a couple hours on podcasts, books, and software and tools. We're going to really talk about books. If you're watching the video, you can see behind Justin all of the books there. So that we're going to talk about his favorites and why. Before we do, he's going to talk a little bit about what he's doing now. You can check out AdSkills.com and AgentSkills.ai. So Justin, start there with talk about AgentSkills.ai and AdSkills.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm an advertiser for the last 20 years. My business is AdSkills.com. We teach people how to win with paid ads. In that, AI has come along, and it's touched every industry, from doctors to lawyers to media buyers. And so I've started creating AI agents to automate my day. As I did that, people liked my agents, wanted my agents, so I started up AgentSkills as well, where I'm showing people how to build agents, and so this one's a little different. AdSkills is all education. AgentSkills, you buy my agents, the things that I've already built that automate my LinkedIn, automate my customers. We've got some really cool ones in there that you guys can read about.
We can see right here. We're on AgentSkills.ai if you're listening, and you can see there's an ad prediction agent, there's a newsletter writing agent, there's a LinkedIn posting agent, there's a Facebook ad copy agent, sales prediction agent, Google PPC agent.
Yeah.
Right?
And so there's 10 of them now. That's just the last time I updated my sales page. There was only 6 of them in there. My goal is to have 20 of them in there. So it's kind of a yearly club. And then if you pay the yearly fee, then you have access to all of them and you can use them and you can get the updates and all that glorious stuff. And every month we do a build-a-thon. So you can kind of join me and watch me build and ask me questions and stuff like that. And so it's just a byproduct of what I'm creating through doing AdSkills.
Love it. So people can check it out, AgentSkills.ai, AdSkills.com to learn more. Let's talk about books, some of your favorite books.
Absolutely. One of my favorite topic, man.
Love it.
Okay, so there's probably a couple of books that I think, if I would say like must buys, before you do anything else, make sure you have these. So I prominently feature one, let's see, the yellow one behind me. I don't know, my camera's mirrored. It's a little hard to tell. But the yellow one behind me is called Product-Led Marketing. And if you notice, Zoom and Uber they don't have like a funnel, they do, but they don't, they don't have like a long direct response sales page. They're not trying to sell you on a webinar or a VSL. They do something a little bit different. And if you think about it, a lot of the biggest companies in the world do something different, and they do what's called product-led marketing, or product-led growth, and that's what that book is all about. Is like, why do these giant companies start for free, give you things away for free? And they make a very convincing argument as to why you may want to do this instead. I think it's a book that every marketer should try out, Product-Led Growth.
Here
and there's a whole movement.
Productled.com. It's by Wes Bush. Is this the one?
Yeah. And so there's a lot of teachers and educators in this space. I think Wes is doing it the best. Nice yellow book, great website. Definitely can see the direct response marketer in Wes here. But I think this is really worth checking out if you want to know how the big dogs, not like the gurus, but I'm talking about like the Ubers, the Salesforces, the HubSpots. If you want to understand why they do what they do and how to add a little bit of that sauce to your business, check out Product-Led Growth.
I'm going to get it. I don't have it on my Audible, I don't think.
And it's a good read too. I mean, it's not super dry. Like, it's just a good read as well. The next one that I would say is actually another yellow book. Maybe this is like the top 3 yellow books you could buy. I'm sure the search engines are easy to rank for that. The other one would be Deep Work by Cal Newport. I think this is becoming increasingly more and more popular. In fact, I just switched. I used to have this, kind of famous in my customer and follower world. I had this obscene monitor, 49 inches long, curved, like engulfed my whole desk. And I got away from that so that I could have less distractions. And so anyways, Cal Newport, Deep Work, he talks about this concept in there. It's how to not be so distracted in a world full of notifications and social media and text messages and communities. Like, we've never been more alone and more divided ever before, and so what I like is he talks about this concept in there of, like, I forget exactly what he names it, but there's a cool name from like the old Greek guys when they were working and writing. But he talks about like customizing your environment into this place that you can just come into. In the comic book world, it would be like Superman's Fortress of Solitude, and how valuable it is to invest in an office, a good working deep work space that you can get into and what to do with it and how to use it and all that stuff. And everything that Cal does is good. But the cool thing about Cal is he's not just like a thinker author, like he's actually a professor, studies these concepts, tests them out, applies them. You can see he obviously, deep work works for him. I mean, look at how many books he's published. So he's a doer, not just a thinker, but he's also a really good thinker as well. So check that out. I think that's valuable.
Yeah, that's a good one. I've listened to that one, and then So Good They Can't Ignore You is another great one too, which kind of seems like a similar concept to product-led growth as well.
Yeah. Well, I don't know where you want to go with this.
Keep going.
I wanted to talk about some maybe lesser known books.
Yeah, do it.
Because as I was describing to my customers, if you think about it, you ever watch UFC?
Yeah.
Mixed martial arts fights or anything? So if you think about it, these guys, whenever you get in any space, whenever you get to the higher levels of something, it becomes increasingly hard to have a competitive advantage, because at the white belt level, people are just figuring out how to kick and punch. But when you're a black belt fighting in the UFC for the heavyweight, like, everybody knows how to kick and punch. Everybody knows how to kick and punch really good, So it's like, how do you kick and punch better than guys that have been kicking and punching for 20 years, right? Which is relatable to any industry, I think, And so I made the argument that one of the things that you can do is you can be buying better or different books than your audience. Because if you're just typing in kind of the same keywords that everybody else is, if you're reading all the same books that everybody else is, then you basically know how to kick and punch the same way as everybody else, right? And so I said, what you want to do, what I like to do is I like to listen to podcasts, actually, and hear recommendations and find new books that maybe other people haven't thought of, and just dig deeper into Amazon than other people in eBay. And so I've got a couple of those that I think might help people out. I'll start with probably these are more likely. Maybe half of the people have heard of these ones. And so the first one is going to be Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. Kind of a classic, probably a little bit more well known about, but I don't hear it talked about enough in the copywriting, marketing, advertising world. And this one is going to help you make sure your website actually works well and converts people when they get there. Everybody's so hot and bothered about getting leads and getting traffic and all this stuff, but like you actually have to make sure that they do what you want them to do when they get there. So that's Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. Really good. A lot of psychological stuff in there. Any questions on that? Or you want
No, that's good. Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
I have a lot of questions, but keep going.
Yeah. Okay, so the next one, depending on where you're at, if you're a service seller or not, and how old you are, you may know about this one. This is $1 Million Consulting by Alan Weiss. Now, everybody's hot and bothered about the coaching industry, high ticket coaching and all this stuff. And there's a ton of amazing people out there. Was it Taki Moore and what's the Dan Sullivan? And there's tons of great guys. One of my new favorites is Jeremy Haynes. He's on YouTube. He's amazing. But this guy, okay, Alan Weiss, he's been doing this, since Fred Flintstone was driving him to work. I love you, Alan. And the book is $28. And so what I'm trying to say is there's a lot of expensive information on how to be a good high ticket coach out there. And I'm kind of saying like, maybe start with this $28 book that's been teaching the biggest guys in the world for decades, because a lot of it is in here. I think Russell's Expert Secrets is also incredibly good. And I think if you took this book and Russell's Expert Secrets, you probably have more than you need, and you should just start there. That's probably good enough to take you well into six figures, maybe $1 million.
Is there anything in the $1 Million coaching that you remember sticks out to you that was important or impactful?
I think it's the concept of pipelines. I don't know that he calls it pipelines. I think that's the more modern one, but essentially you need to have this like book of business that you're always working, and that's, I talk to so many in my world, especially, a secret that is maybe I'm not, what is it? Psychologists, they're not allowed to reveal things about their patients and whatever. And so I'll just be broad, but many, many marketing agencies don't know how to get leads. And it's a little bit of the shoemaker's problem. It's like they're getting leads for everybody else, but they themselves can't get leads. And so sometimes the high ticket consultants know how to tell everybody else how to get leads, but they don't know how to get leads. And so he kind of addresses that, with this, book of business or pipeline. I forget exactly how he calls it, but this ever flowing door of sales and leads and nurturing and all that. Okay. Let me see here. Let's go to This one has been, people may know about this one, Marketing Warfare. It's a huge hit in kind of the big business world, the more mainstream business world, the IBMs and the Oracles and all that stuff. Marketing Warfare by Al Ries and Jack Trout. They've written a couple books together, Positioning and 22 Laws, Immutable Laws. This is my favorite one, because we are often in this position. What do you do? Like, okay, here's a great example. When I launched AdSkills, digital marketer already exists. How do I launch AdSkills when a giant already exists in my space? What am I supposed to do differently or anything like that? And so Marketing Warfare teaches you literal warfare tactics to be able to use them in marketing. Now, it doesn't mean warfare like, go to Ryan Dice's house and actually, declare war on him or anything. But essentially, I would say my favorite tactic is this thing about, what do they call it? Flanking, right? So I could have, so digital marketer was very entrenched in the helping a newbie become an expert at marketing. And if I would have started in that realm, then I'm a newbie going up against an 800-pound gorilla in the same exact angle, right? So a flanking strategy is to go around them instead of head-on collision, go around them. And so I went after people who are already making six figures and wanted to make seven. More niche and a little bit different audience, a little different angle, so that's the one of many strategies that I learned from marketing warfare. And so if you feel like David going up against Goliath, that's the book. One more? We got time for one more?
Let's do it, yeah.
Okay, this is a super rare one that I doubt anybody has heard of. It's going to be the real diehards that have heard of this one. I've been tracing, and we could talk about why I buy older and older books, but I've been tracing marketing and direct response back. So it's like, okay, well, who taught Russell Brunson, and then who taught that guy, and then who taught that guy? And so
it's the lineage of direct response.
Yeah. And so a lot of it goes back to this Elmer Wheeler guy, and so this is, source material for a lot of things, and so this is Tested Sentences That Sell by Elmer Wheeler. And it's, some of the other words on here is word magic that makes people buy, tripled sales, increased sales. And so it's a bunch of language. It's how to use language to make people buy. And he has tested many, many, many sentences and explains why they work. And so if you're looking for how to make your emails work better, how to make your social media work better, you want to sell more, then this is probably one. He's got another one called Sizzlemanship. I have both of them. They're a little bit like a two-parter. But yeah, you can see don't sell the steak, sell the sizzle. It's like a lot of just the phrases that we use and speak travels back to this guy, Elmer Wheeler. And he's got some amazing stuff. Like, yeah.
It's crazy though. It's like $7.
Right. I think
$5.
Yeah, right? I think people forget about that. I love courses. I think we should hire coaches. Tiger Woods has a coach. Mike Tyson has a coach. Michael Jordan has a coach. We should hire coaches and we should pay them what they're worth. But let's not forget that there's like $7 and $20 books with absolute gold inside of them.
This is great. ElmerWheeler.net if people want to check it out. Justin, it's always a pleasure. I appreciate you sharing some of your hidden secrets on the shelf there with us. Yeah. And people can check out, as we mentioned, AdSkills.com and AgentSkills.ai to learn more. And thanks, Justin. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This
episode, great resources, great people. I have Seva Ustinov. He's the founder of Elly Analytics. And Seva, thanks for joining me. Tell people a little bit about Elly Analytics, and we're going to get into favorite software and tools, and he's a perfect person to talk about because he ran an agency for many years. Now he runs a SaaS company. So talk about Elly Analytics first and what you do.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. So we do AI agents that automate ad management, and not for everyone, but specifically for consumer software and services companies. So think about fintech, health tech, apps, anyone who generate leads, signups, or trials from their website. They need to manage ads at scale, and they have specific problems like delayed conversions, long-term LTV, and off-site revenue. So we centralize the data and run agents that automate your ads.
What kind of companies are using it? I mean, I'm sure there's like specific companies and there's agencies use it too.
Mostly end customers, like internal teams that run ads. You can click on testimonials to see examples of clients. Yeah. So fintech companies.
So they usually have like an in-house like marketing person that's using it or marketing team?
Mostly, yes.
Yeah.
So they run like hundreds of thousands of ads at the same time, spending hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions of dollars per month. And they need to manage like that volume of different ads, make decisions, scale, stop, um, relaunch different ads. So, and we centralize data for them, calculate attribution models, and then run agents that optimize ads for them.
That's cool. Yeah, I've actually, you have Flex Pro meals on here. I've actually bought stuff from them before.
Cool. Yeah.
See, I'm surprised from your background, and it looks like there's a bedding company, bedding and mattress e-commerce brand. So big e-commerce brands are good. I'm surprised from your background running an agency previously for so many years that you didn't go that route of having agencies use it for all their clients.
We'll get there eventually. It's just like end customers. Like you see, this specific niche, the first problem to solve is to centralize the data from backend platforms, payment systems, CRM systems, and so on. And agencies typically don't go that deep into the data side. So we need to sell the solution to clients first, and then agencies can use it actually.
What gave you the idea for this, going from, talk about the transition from agency to the software?
Well, I saw that like it for me, it's so obvious to run like data-driven marketing to make decisions using data and numbers. And in e-commerce, with e-commerce companies, it's a like an industry standard. Everybody tries to optimize for ROAS, but for consumer software and services, they mostly optimize for leads, for signups, so some actions on the website or in the app. That doesn't really translate to actual paying customers and revenue because it's a hard problem to get that data and attribution and automate that. So it looked and it still is a very big niche. Like this segment is like in top 5 segments of advertisers that doesn't have a default solution. Like if I ask marketers like, hey, who do you know to build attribution for like fintech companies, for healthcare companies, for apps? And I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe like for apps, it's AppsFlyer. For everyone else, like, I don't know. So it's still an underserved segment with very large potential and an opportunity to build a 100 million company.
How did you get your first milestone client? Right, you started this several years ago.
That was relatively easy, specifically because of the agency background. I just started talking to some of our existing customers and potential customers, and actually, I got first 5 sales before we had a dedicated team for this product. So that was easy.
That sounds like the way to do
leverage.
it. It kind of pre-sold the, funded the first version, I imagine.
Yeah, exactly. And we had like some small scripts and things we did in-house with the agency, so it was not from scratch.
Yeah. I mean, that's how MailChimp, I believe, started as an agency, and they were doing email internally for the clients, and they came up with like a separate, SaaS solution that made it easier. So it came out of an agency.
Yes, that's what got me like actually started questioning my roles first. I met a community of founders, maybe 100 of them, who built tech businesses, like software businesses. And like 60% of them told me a story that they run some kind of a services businesses before, like a web studio or design or agency or something like that. And I'm like, okay, this looks like a standard path for entrepreneurs to start with the services businesses first, get your expertise, team management, sales skills, and everything in place, and then convert us to building a large-scale product thing.
Yeah. Because I was just looking it up as we're talking about stuff, and it says, and this is obviously a unicorn, not all cases, but MailChimp, it looks like sold for $12 billion to Intuit.
Crazy, yeah.
Right. So started it from like an agency to building out a software solution, right? So hopefully Elly Analytics has a similar type of trajectory and success. We'll talk about some tools, some of your favorite tools, software. Plurio AI agent I see on your site. What's that?
That's the name of our agent. So we are Elly Analytics, and we've built our own agent that analyzes the data and actually manages ads. So we started as a data platform to get all the data, and now we run AI agents that actually analyze it and take actions.
Awesome. So some of your favorite software tools, I'll mention some interesting ones I've had on the podcast. I had the founder of Zapier on, Wade Foster,
Wow.
one of the founders of Zapier. That was an interesting one, talking about how that got built up. One of the co-founders of Pipedrive also was a good one. What are some of your favorite tools, software that you use or your clients use?
We actually integrate with Zapier, with Pipedrive, and many others. That's fantastic
Who
to hear
else?
that.
Who are some of the other integrations? I'm gonna
Oh,
pull
like
up.
there are like
It's under the
hundreds.
connectors page.
Yeah, like HubSpot, Salesforce, Zoho CRM, Klaviyo, Shopify, uh, Google Analytics, all kind of mobile analytics, like basically uh, anything. But yeah, talking about software, um, I think this year's top one piece of software is Cursor, and not as a tool for developers, but actually as a tool, as a generic, powerful AI agent for for founders and managers.
Right here.
Yeah. So everybody knows Cursor as a like IDE, like a platform, AI development platform for developers, where they can vibe code things, run, like write code, debug code, and so on. But what I found out is that you can actually use the same platform to do a pitch deck, to draft an email to a potential customer, to run a deep research on your competitors,
Hmm.
to automate uh, second opinions on hiring people, uh, and like that's changed my own work life, and that changed the whole company's internal life and processes and everything.
Love it. Yeah, what are some other ones you use? I'm just looking through I always like to explore people's connectors because then it's like, what else should I be using to connect to this software? But you may like this one. I did an interview with the AI clone, okay, of Brian
Hmm.
Halligan, co-founder of HubSpot. So it was with his AI clone, not with him, just to be clear.
Hmm.
Because I had the founder of Delphi.ai. I don't know if you've seen that before.
Hmm.
He helps clone people, but they have to enter a bunch of inputs in, but I could have a conversation with someone like through Delphi.ai. So people could check that out. But this is with his AI clone. So
Oh, I'm so curious. I'll
yeah,
definitely do that.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
What are some other your favorites? So Cursor, that's a good one. What are some other ones that you use on a daily basis? It could be apps on your phone. It could be on the computer.
Uh, I even forgot how it's named, like Launch Kit or something, or minimalist app. So this is how my Android looks like.
Uh-huh.
No icons, no nothing, just a
Mm.
list of apps. And if I need to find something, I just have to type it, to type the
Is
name
that
of the
just
app.
to like productivity perspective or what?
Yeah, so it's just reduces distraction from the apps so much, because you have to like have a specific intention. What exactly do you want to do with your phone? And type the name of the app and do it. And there are no like colorful icons that are neatly grouped
I'm
on
assuming
your
this
main
is it
screen.
here. Minimalist
Yeah,
phone.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been with it like for half a year, I think, and I won't go back. I don't
Really?
want. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So, but you could put some I got like phone calendar, like some other things on there that is a one click also.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
ChatGPT, music streaming, but no social media, no messengers, no games or something. Um, and
This is
it actually
interesting.
works. Yeah.
What are
Product
other
of the
apps?
month.
Yeah, what other apps you use on your phone besides this one?
Uh,
Obviously, you mentioned ChatGPT. I'm assuming you have Slack on your phone. I don't know what other things you have.
I mm, yes, ChatGPT obviously. Whoop, the health tracking
Okay. You
device.
have the Whoop band. Yep. I have an Aura
Mhm.
Ring.
Cool, yeah. And Perplexity and Comet. I use it for most of my searches online, both from the app and from the web.
Okay.
Um,
What about on your computer? What do you use? Or like internally for the team, what do you use for project management or SOPs
it's
or
funny, like
CRM?
we used to use Confluence as a knowledge base for
Mm-hmm.
developers and product team.
Mm-hmm.
Now we scrapped it completely and moved everything to Cursor. So now we have agents, and I can ask things like, uh, "Hey, uh, Cursor, go check our specs and tell me um, what kind of metrics do we get from TikTok? And if there is no specs for that, go to the code and explore that and answer me."
So do
So
you have to
like,
connect Cursor to like the different channels then for you so it can kind of grab data?
hmm so we've moved everything from Google Drive to Cursor. We used to use Notion. We almost don't do it anymore because most of that moved to Cursor. We use ClickUp for task management and project management, but every night the whole state of tasks and comments and everything is synced into Cursor. So our agents have access to the data and can run like in-depth analysis, answer complicated questions,
Hmm.
create new tasks. We actually recently had the first example where customer success manager created uh, like downloaded the conversation with the meeting transcript with the client, asked Cursor to um, update the project card and the list of tasks, create a new task and in ClickUp with all the details based on the project context and that meeting transcript. And then our data engineer pulled up his Cursor and said it like, "Hey, go download, go read the details of this task in ClickUp and implement it for me." And for the first time, the whole uh, analytical and engineering task was done in Cursor just by referencing a task in the ClickUp. It's still not like a large scale operation like that. People like data engineers and engineers in general, they're still needed to oversee and run these flows. But it was
It probably
the first
cuts out a
case.
lot of steps, I imagine, though.
Oh, yes. A lot of questions, a lot of unnecessary meetings, a lot of simple checks. Like you now you need people only for hard stuff, for complex things, not for obvious ones.
How else do you use ClickUp to Cursor?
So we have a set of vibe coded scripts, like simple Python scripts that can be executed from Cursor to create a task, to add a comment, something like that. And we have a separate script that just downloads everything into MD files into Cursor every night. So our agents have full access to the full company knowledge.
It's pretty cool. We also use ClickUp as a PM tool. I mean, it's a great tool, really robust. What about from like a CRM or email perspective? What do you use?
We do use HubSpot, but I'm not sure if we're going to use it at a larger scale because as of now, it's just a system of record for set of deals and history of emails and interactions. But actual work is done in Cursor or other tools. And also, like I run that like it's a evening project. I want to implement personal CRM in Cursor with all of my contacts, statuses, follow-ups, to-do lists, and I can it already helps me draft like complex emails and track all my contacts there. It's not there yet to completely manage my inbox, but maybe like after these holidays, winter holidays, we'll see where it goes. Ideally, I wanted to
How will
take
it
care
manage your
of
inbox?
everything, fully manage my inbox and only ask like complex questions where my input is needed.
Like, will it pre-draft emails or how would it work?
Like there are two steps there. First one that is already working, just like one message at a time. It's creates new contacts if I don't have them. It researches them on LinkedIn and on internet. It downloads all messages from LinkedIn and email. So I have full history of conversation with each person, and it updates like action points, what we discussed from meeting transcripts, from emails, from LinkedIn messages. So I have the full state of like what I promised to each of my contacts. And the next step is to actually like draft those emails based on my talking points, key updates, full history of interactions with this person, and everything.
It's really interesting. What other AI tools are you using? I mentioned Cursor, ChatGPT. Like I've been using heavily Gemini inside of Gmail to help with some of those things. I'm curious, what else do you use, like AI tools to just from a productivity or efficiency
I
standpoint?
think 90% of my AI use went to Cursor. And within Cursor, I use Claude Sonnet 4.5 Max. One unobvious thing, I use Parallel AI, Parallel IO. It's the best tool for deep research. It's even better than Gemini's and ChatGPT's. And like when I have like some really, really deep question, I always ask Parallel AI. Um, I use most of the others as well. Notion
This
AI,
is it here,
Grok
right?
AI.
Parallel.ai.
Yeah. And
Yep.
you can use it from the web interface, from the app, or from your Cursor, Cloud Code, your own products, and so on. So it's both like a web interface and an API.
Yeah, this says
And
most accurate, deep and wide research.
and it's true. So like if I do a competitor analysis, I tend to use this one. If I search for uh, important details about health insurance for the next year, I'll use Parallel AI, not something else.
Yeah. Any other software apps that you recommend that you use?
I don't want to go that wide. There are like so many apps out there. I just like a big believer in these generic AI tools like Cursor, Cloud Code, um, Anti-Gravity by Google just really was released recently. Um, it's just you see, like using ChatGPT and Gemini and others as a question answering machine is cool, but it's just like 5% of what AI can do for you. And any kind of actual
This one
agentic,
you're talking about?
yeah. Like
Google
all
Anti-Gravity.
as of now, they are all branded as developer tools, but like just ignore that. It's a generic AI agent that can work with any kind of text data. It can create and run code. It can connect to any kind of systems, or where they have connectors or not. It's a thing that can run like 30-minute workflows autonomously. And it listens to what you say, and you can ask it like, hey, when we do competitor analysis, take into account like founding rounds and pricing pages and user reviews, and it will save it. And next time you ask it to do it, will like follow your workflow. So those generic AI agents, they are already here. They're just branded for developers, but actually anyone can use it, even without like zero understanding of the code.
You know, so first of all, I want to thank you. Everyone could check out ellyanalytics.com to learn more. Who should be going to your site? Big e-commerce brands? Who should be checking this out?
So companies that spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on Google Ads, Meta Ads, TikTok, influencers, affiliates, and like similar channels. And especially those that generate signups or trials or leads from their website. So for e-commerce, there are a lot of tools out there already. For consumer software and services, we're pretty much the only one that can help them.
Seva, thanks so much. Check out ellyanalytics.com.
I'm here. This is a top resource series where we talk about some of the favorite resources founders have. I'm here with Paul Powers, and he's the CEO founder of Physna. You can check him out at Physna.com. And Physna is short for physical DNA, and they bridge the gap between physical and digital. And they do that by turning 3D representations of parts into normalized code, which he'll go more into. Paul, thanks for joining me, and talk about Physna and what you do.
Thanks for having me. Sure, you gave a great intro. So, Physna, short physical DNA. What our core technology does is it, as you mentioned, turns everything physical via 3D, whether that's a scan or a CAD model or whatever, into code. And the reason that that's important is because traditionally, unlike things like images or text or even videos, 3D data, 3D models are not actually normalized. So there's no way for software to actually understand and interpret a physical item in all three dimensions the way that it can understand text or images. And so by normalizing that, it's helpful for a number of areas. One, 3D data is much more information rich than images are, or than words, of course. And so as a training signal for AI and machine learning, it's much, much stronger. And by bridging that gap and really allowing people to understand, or allowing software to understand what parts are and how they're related to each other and how they're different from each other, it enables machine learning and AI to learn at about 10,000 times the rate that it can if you don't normalize that data. So it's very, very valuable for AI. It's really the what makes physical AI and world models possible. And beyond that, we work with customers directly for a handful of use cases that are, not just AI in general, not just APIs that we leveraged for with other tech, but actually people using Physna directly, kind of as you're seeing on the screen. And that's typically around part identification, deduplication, standardization, and also part sourcing, right? So do I have this part? Am I ordering the exact same part from different suppliers? Are there different parts that I could standardize across? Who sells this part? Who can manufacture this part? And then those are the core use cases. The fact that we understand models so well means that we can be leveraged via our APIs to give much deeper insights. So you might use things like Palantir's Foundry, right? Or you might use something like Google's Gemini product. And what you can do is plug Physna into that and create a physical AI layer that understands your inventory, understands the parts that you order, understands the parts that you're manufacturing or designing, and can just exponentially accelerate everything from the design process to the maintenance speed, to the procurement speed, to lowering manufacturing costs, automating quoting. There's quite a lot you can do once you implement that understanding of your physical data.
And your customers are typically automotive and aerospace type customers?
Automotive, aerospace, really anyone who manufactures or deals with lots of complex parts has a more immediate need for us than anyone else. We, of course, work with companies that manufacture a whole lot of very simple parts like consumer packaged goods, right? But typically what we find is that people who work with or manufacture or consume, lots of complex assemblies. So think like what you're showing there right now might be lawnmowers, might be for refrigerators, might be airplanes, might be automotive, and also a lot in defense. So those are the areas where we typically see the fastest adoption because they have some of the most pressing needs.
So would like a manufacturing company use your technology on top of their shopping cart to make it easier for people to buy?
You can. Yeah, we have APIs that absolutely allow you to do that, right? So you can say, hey, what is this part that I found something that fell off of an engine. Who has it? This company does. There you go. It's connected to it, right? We actually already have that. And so and the Department of War, now a lot of them are using Physna to source parts, exactly that process, right? What is this part? Who sells it? Even if they call it something totally different, right? We're able to figure that out. What's crazy is that 3D intelligence actually enhances computer vision. And so we're not recreating computer vision, but what we're able to do is take the learnings from the 3D relationships that we're able to understand and make it easier for computer vision to understand the differences between things that are more obscure or where the differences are very hard to pick up on visually, like I think the difference between different bolts, nuts, screws, you know, washers. I mean, things that are very, very, very different. Like they look almost identical. There's very, very small differences. Traditionally, computer vision struggled with that. It's better with, faces. It's better with, like text, obviously, or really or things that it sees quite often. But we make it just as easy for computer vision to differentiate between different bolts and washers, et cetera, or even more complex parts as it is for them to differentiate between things like Coca-Cola versus Pepsi, right? So that's one of the reasons why we're used not just in manufacturing, design, and inventory, but also out in the field for maintenance. We even have consumer level applications that we've been used for, are used for now. Lots of tech partnerships where we're leveraged, where people actually have no idea that 3D intelligence is making computer vision smarter, but it is.
This is really cool, Paul. And I know this is highly technical, so we can go down the route of like, how'd you even get into this? But I do want to hear some of your favorite app software and what you're using for business, for personal. What kind of things are you using these days?
Sure. So I use a lot of AI. I think that it's important to stay, current with AI. It's developing very rapidly. So obviously a big user of ChatGPT, Gemini, all the common suspects. But then I also like to use actually, I think more importantly than like what I use, it's how I use them, right? So I use I use ChatGPT for more than what the average person would use because I actually will go create my own GPT and it becomes like my own personalized app. Or I'll use it to do things that I normally would download a separate app for. So I actually find myself using LLM interfaces more often than app interfaces. And that's actually one of the reasons why with Physna, we said, hey, we have to make sure that we can integrate with every LLM out there. We created, we actually just released that recently so that you don't have to use our interface, right? You can use whatever is most convenient for you. So that's what I typically rely on, both professionally and personally. But outside of that, obviously, things like the Google Suite, so Gmail, Google Calendar, Google Meet, things like that. Also a big user of, for business purposes, things like Omniverse, Palantir's Foundry, those are the technologies that we're fascinated by that we integrate really well with.
Talk about maybe an interesting use case of ChatGPT and how you're using it.
So I use it for calorie monitoring, right? For example, like I'll every time I eat anything, I will either enter the calories and protein, macronutrients, or if I'm lazy, I'll just take a picture of it or describe what I'm eating, and then it'll just calculate that. And then I've told it via building a really basic GPT, like here's my weight, here's my resting metabolic rate, analyze if I'm consuming above or below maintenance calories and if I'm getting the right macronutrients in there. So I've done that to help lose weight and live a healthier lifestyle. And
so is it instead of an app per se,
yeah.
Paul, you'll be like, okay, I don't know how you set it up, but I have a project in ChatGPT and all of the custom prompts and everything in there. So you could just say, here's the food intake. Like how is it set up? Because you're using it kind of like as an app, right?
Initially I set up a GPT for it, but then I found that actually with 5.2 it was unnecessary to really even need a GPT. So I just actually go to regular chat GPT and just say in a regular conversation, hey, this is this is the baseline information. And then every day when it's a new day, I'll literally just say new day and then it resets.
It's like basically a conversation inside of ChatGPT that you just keep
one ongoing conversation. Exactly. For obviously for work, I'll use it differently. One thing I found really powerful is integrating LLMs with more with our data, like my calendar, my email. So being able to just ask ChatGPT, like, hey, what was going on recently with this one conversation with this one customer, saved me a ridiculous amount of time, right? And it's not just ChatGPT. I also use Gemini. Gemini in some ways is a lot more powerful, I'm finding, than ChatGPT. And I think it's just fundamentally changing the way that we interface with technology. That's only going to accelerate. I'm also a big adopter of augmented reality. So I use things like, I'm not wearing them right now, but like Meta Ray-Ban's display. They're not quite to
I don't think I've seen those.
Point where I think
I've used the Oculus Quest, but I don't know what that is.
Yeah, we've got basically everything here because we're believers that eventually that's going to be something that will overtake the smartphone in large part. Not now, but in a few years when it becomes
Yeah.
lighter, more user friendly. Meta Ray-Ban display specifically is pretty new. It just came out like in November, I think, and it is just a really small. It's not even really fair to call it augmented reality. Just a little small screen on the right side of your glasses, and you can talk to it and analyze your environment that you're in. It's not quite to a point where I find it valuable enough to use it on a regular basis. To be honest, that's why I'm
This
not
is what
wearing
we're
it right.
talking about right here.
That's exactly what we're talking about. And it's
Yeah.
also kind of heavy compared to my regular glasses, but it's way more user friendly than
Did you
an
get like
Oculus.
prescription lenses inside of this, or what do you?
I
How do you
did,
do that?
yeah.
You did. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, so
Interesting.
I find that really cool to use too. And I'm not so much, I don't know that I would suggest that people go out and get that, but I would definitely keep an eye on this space. I think that in the next couple of years, we'll start seeing Apple glasses, probably Google Pixel glasses, or whatever they'll call them. And I think that's going to be a lot more compelling than what
What do
we've
you
seen.
use this? Like, how do you use these glasses? And
So use that to, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't find a whole lot of utility in them, primarily because the battery life isn't that great. By the end of the day, they're dead. But when I do use them, it's typically because I'll be driving and I want to be able to, hear the messages coming in or be able to see them. When I was traveling in the past over New Year's when we were in Mexico, I found it valuable because I don't speak Spanish, but it can do a live translation. Didn't work backwards, but I at least could understand what they were saying, were saying, and then I could show them on the phone what I meant to say. That was kind of
how did
useful.
you understand? Does it show? Does it input it and then transcribe it and back to you in English,
It's
or
like closed caption on the
closed
display, so
captioning? I
we're
got you.
talking, you'll just see it translated into
Interesting.
English.
That's
Uh,
cool.
it's not perfect. You can definitely see some areas where it made some mistakes, but you get the gist of what they're saying anyway.
Any other cool technology that you use? Maybe, hardware stuff
Yeah,
like
so
this.
I'm actually I'm well, I haven't received it yet, so I can't say how good or how bad this is, but I'm in the group of early adopters for the Neo robot, which obviously is not going to be fully autonomous when it first comes out. That's from I think 1X Technologies or whatever they're called. So that'll be neat though to be like the first true like human-like household robot. So we'll see how good that ends up being. I'm also a big adopter.
When is that supposed to come out?
I think it's supposed to be later this year, either later
Oh,
this year or early next year, if I remember correctly. So
wow.
that's fascinating. I'm also for my
What will you use it for? I'm curious.
honestly, I don't even have a specific use case in mind. I'm just so fascinated by the technology that I like to be on the cutting edge and see,
Yeah.
figure out what can you use this for, right? And figure out what role can we play with technologies like these and enhancing them and making them more effective. That's why we're big on trying things out in the augmented and virtual reality space, not because there's an immediate obvious use case, but because we want to figure out how might people utilize our software and our capabilities later in the future as this technology develops. So for me, it's mainly a business curiosity. That said, I'm not paying for it out of the business. I'm paying it for it out of pocket because I'm sure that I'll find something stupid for it to do around the house. And that'll be the main thing it does. But my curiosity is mainly actually for business applications. At
That
first,
is
business.
fascinating. Yeah. Any other hardware you use? I don't know if you use anything else for health
We do a
or
lot of I do a lot of 3D printing. Physna also started the site thangs.com, like things but with an A. We then sold that to Shapeways, but that actually grew to be the world's largest 3D printing community. It's over I'm not sure where it's at today, but when we sold it, it was about 25 million monthly active users. So, pretty big community there. And obviously we got really big into 3D printing from that. Outside of that and augmented reality, I'm also a big adopter of, wearables. So I typically will get like the latest smartwatch or something and just again trying to figure out what's the next hardware phase of technology going to be beyond software.
are there
Um,
any wearables that you've either heard of that you want to look into or that you've gotten that people should check out?
I'm honestly so far, I mean, the reason why I'm curious about this space is because I expect a lot of improvements to come in the pretty near future, but so far it's not quite where I expect it to be. I think that long term, we're moving towards technology being more, one, spatially aware, which is what Physna is all about, right? But then two, being able to understand context better, right? Which again, Physna could be helpful for, but for it to be context aware, it needs to know not just your location, but your current surroundings visually and the context of what you're living in. I think you're going to find you'll have to reach for your phone less often once you start wearing smarter, lighter smart glasses that have longer battery life, because they'll be able to guess what you're going to ask, what you're going to want to do, right? Preemptively give you directions if you're, getting into your car and it knows that you always ask for directions, right? Things like that. I think you're going to find less need to reach for your phone than you do today. And so I'm looking for how that future is going to develop. Right now, as far as like devices I would recommend, there's not a whole lot that I would say you need to rush out and get, but I would closely keep an eye on the augmented reality space and the personal robotic space. I bought my mom a robot vacuum cleaner that has a robot arm that can pick up socks and throw them into like a bin for her, because she's as nerdy as I am, and so that was like the coolest thing ever. So things like that are fun, but in practical terms, augmented reality and maybe a little more versatile robotics reality coming.
If it folded socks, you had me sold. Yeah, it's like,
it picks them up and throws them in the pile. Yes.
Just to wrap up, I'll first of all thank you. People can check out Physna.com. It's PHYSNA.com. Who should be checking out Physna?
If you work at a manufacturer or like an OEM, let's say like at a automotive OEM, aerospace OEM, or at a tech company that's working on AI, for example, you might be a prime contractor to defense. We do a lot of work in defense. If you're a defense contractor, if you're a manufacturer, or if you're like an enterprise or even consumer AI type company, but you're working in an area adjacent to spatial intelligence or computer vision, those are the companies that typically get the most immediate benefit out of Physna directly.
I love it. Paul, thanks so much. Everyone check out Physna.com. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.
What I got, you can't buy. It resides between my eyes. Walked through the fire, came out better on the other side. See, life's like a beach if you find the sailing right now. I'm feeling like 100 grand.